G'day guys, what's cracking? This is the Telefo Palm light that's a little bit different to most other lights out there. It's kind of like classy and sleek, affordable at $200 US, comes in its nice box and has an array of features that I'd love to tell you about. So we're going to start by unzipping. Have a look at that. See? Already you're like, oh, that's a bit different. That's a bit nice. You would be quite right. This is like a spongy leather finish that just sits nice there with obviously the embossing there. Has a fan on the top, has a fan on the bottom, the screen on the top, and a mini Bowens mount on the front. Also comes with reflector, just locks in, and then a diffuser. Gives you beautiful soft light should you need it, as well as a handle. Handle attaches to the bottom with a screw mount just there. And all of a sudden I can hold it and you can tighten up so it holds at any angle you like. And whoa, you can even mount this on the top of a lighting stand, so that can light on a stand, and then you can put this in any direction that you like. Then you can pull it off and you can light your way any way that you prefer, and it has a USB-C to USB-C which charges it from the back. And it has this inbuilt molded holder, so the light goes in here, your reflector in there, your handle here, and it has some instructions too, which, well, you won't need after you watch this video, but they're there to support you and help you understand the full capacity of this light.
So on the back we had an on and off button that if you click down, hold down for a second, it springs to life, and then you simply turn this and it takes you from 10 to 0 and lights up whatever you like. If you want to put it on standby off, you just click this. So that's sort of standby on and off, but if you want it off completely, you hold that down and it turns off completely. Now we have these 2 nozzles and 4 buttons that we have to contend with. It opens up to CCT or your RGB, whichever you choose, and you can click RGB and go straight there if you like. You can then select what sort of intensity of color you like, what brightness and what hue of color, just by maneuvering these controls on top. If we go out of HSI, which you press HSI, takes you out into your CCT, then your CCT goes all the way up to 6,500, and then a nice warm light all the way down to 2,700. And again, with the other knob, you can change what the intensity looks like, and it can be maneuvered down and up in 1% increments, which is really handy, all the way down to 0. But you'll find that 70 to 100 is really quite bright, and there's small incremental changes, and there's a lot of change from 70% all the way down to 1%, hence 0%. We have a number of different effects that you can access. In fact, we have 20, and you scroll through the 20 by simply clicking and rolling through this, and there's a list, well, just here, of the different effects you can get, which activate and use both the CCT and the RGB light as you cruise through. Once you get to 20, it doesn't reset. You then have to go back through the ones that you came. It doesn't have an indicator on the screen about which particular lighting function you are. So that would be handy if it just said lightning or candle or SOS or ambulance or whatever. And then we can bump it up to bright. If we press this button, it works with all, and then we can go back to 0, and it goes in 25% by bumping that up. So it doesn't matter if that's CCT, your effects, or RGB, that takes you up by 25% increments. And then we can change the speed at which the effect works, and we do that by holding this button down, which makes this flash over here. And once that's flashing, we can then increase the speed at which those effects take place. And it moves really quickly from 1 through the numbers, so you can slow it down and you feel it grip, you feel it. It's kind of a ratchet effect as you move through. Now, if we go over to the Kelvin rating again, what we'll find is that we have a max option. So Kelvin rating at 100% will use up 60 watts of power, but you actually have the capacity to go to 100, and you do that by selecting max. You press that down, it starts flashing, and the light glows and grows to 100 watt power. So if you want an extra boost, an extra bump, obviously you're going to activate the fan quicker, so it's going to make a bit more noise, it's going to make the unit go hot. But if you need that extra bump of light, that's where it goes from 60 watts all the way up to 100 watts. Gives you super brightness, and I'll show you the brightness in just a minute. So to get out of max setting, you just hit max once and the light will retract and reduce in its brightness. You've got 3 other icons on the screen. You have your fan, your Bluetooth, you have your battery. Your battery is obviously determined how much battery life you've got in your light, and that depends on on how bright you use it, for how long, and what sort of bursts go for. But you can turn the fan off. If you turn the fan off, it drops it down to 15% brightness and then turns the fan off. So if you're thinking, I just want a little bit of light but no noise, then that's the way to go. This is the noise that comes out of the fan when the fan's been on, it's all warmed up, and it's cranking at 100. Interestingly, if you've had the light on and it's heated up and the fan started to activate, and you take the fan off, so you click the fan off, the fan is still going because it still needs to cool down the light, even though it limits you to 15% on the back of the light. So just be aware that hitting this fan off button doesn't kill the fan. I can still hear the fan, but it does mean it's going to cool it all the way down to where it's safe to activate with no fan at 15%. It's still going. Oh, you can feel some of the heat. I wish we had like heat camera and you could just like, whoa, I could use a heat. I don't have a heat camera, but that's what I would use it for right now. Just like, look at this, and I'd shine the heat camera and see if it's going to blow up in my face, catch fire to my hat. Now you know if this is going to disrupt some of the projects you have, or it's actually, I find it quite quiet. Like there's a general hum in my studio anyway because of lights and all sorts of other bits and pieces. This doesn't seem to be extremely more or even disconcertingly an addition to all the other noise that's taking place. It's actually quite quiet. You wouldn't have it right next to your camera. So you wouldn't put it right next to your camera because it does make enough noise to be quite distractive. But you could easily have it out here facing in on you, and I don't think your camera would pick up that noise. It would just be blend into the general ambience of the room. But you have your needs and you need to make decisions based on your needs, not on my conclusions that I draw from my needs. This is the handle that I was talking about. And as I reflected on it, you know, it'd be really cool if this had the capacity to become a tripod as well, just a mini tripod. So you could lock it together and put this on top of a lighting stand like so, but then you could pull it off and sort of spread the legs and boom, it operates as a tripod as well. Be really handy for mounting the light on your bench if you wanted to do that sort of work. At the moment, the limitation is that this can only be used in a studio setting, but you could also just get a different handle. You could just go one of these. This is what I'm talking about, right? That's a little tripod. It just screws into the bottom. It's a 1/4-20 in the bottom. The difference you have though is this has the extra pin to make sure it won't move. This just has a grip base, but it won't move on a grip base. And then you can hold it, and then if you want to just prop it up somewhere, you can just plant it like that, go and do whatever you're doing, or position your thing, take your shot, you're good to go, take your video, you're good to go, and then just grab it if you want to keep walking around with it, or have it mounted on something. That's what you need. You need one of these that's combined with one of these to make one of, well, we haven't made it, have we? But I'm sure someone has. If you've got a link for it, hit me up down below. I'd love to know about it. Also has a Bluetooth function. Why does it need Bluetooth? Because it comes with an app. So let me quickly show you how the app works. The app's dead easy to set up. There's an instruction manual that comes with it that walks you through, and it really is quite straightforward. And then you have this control. So let me move over here, and so you can see what I'm doing as I do it. You can change the Kelvin rating on your light from 6500 to 2700. You can do that by clicking straight to here or here. You can choose if you want preset options here, or you can change the intensity if that's a need that you have. Now we can go to color up the top, and all of a sudden we have red, and you can move that. You see that? Now I'm just going to put that like that so you can see what actually color it comes out as. The color rating, the TLCI, is 98, which means the colors that you get out of this light are about as accurate as they can get, really. You have the preset colors up here that you can just jump through if you want to do that in a pinch. You can change your hue, saturation, and intensity down the bottom. If I go over to here, you have some options that are already connected in, plugged in. So the Lee scale and then the Roscoe scale. So if that's a preset color that you want and have a need for, you're doing a project, you're like, I just need this light, you can set it to that light exactly every single time. Then you have your list we talked about before, right? The list of different effects, and you can choose them, and you do that just by clicking on them. Touch pulse. Ready? Now. So it's like almost instantaneous, which is wonderful. If you have this set up and you just want to control it from your phone, you can change the speed, as we talked about before, and the intensity right there. And I think if I click this one down, I can then choose what music I have this set to, and I can link that to my microphone. So I can actually play some music in this and get the light to jam along to it. How funky is that? So what do you think of the palm light from Tolofo? Pretty funky, right? Like, especially if you just want that unique thing, you like the look of it. It's fairly weighty and heavy, and if you chuck it up and down like that, it turns off, because I just hit the button with my finger. So yeah, I hit the... Let's kill all the rest of the lights in here so we can see how bright this thing actually is. So let me bump this up. I'm going to change this to 600, and then this is on 68. I'm going to put up to 100, and let me set it all the way back here. And like that light's well. That's in about the position of my key light on the other side. It's lower rather than higher. But what do you think? It's the same. I haven't changed the settings. The ISO on the camera has stayed at 400, as have all the other settings. They've remained the same. And so it gives a really nice look. I don't like, look at my face and my textures. Look at my textures. It might be blown out a little bit, isn't it? Let me just turn the light down. You've got to be careful when you grab it, because this part of the light can get very hot as the fan works over. So I'm going to go down, let me just go down to 75%, which I can do by pressing the button. Ah, it's even more pleasant, isn't it? What do you think of that? Shall I go? I'll go 50. It's starting to darken, but 50 is still quite bright. So there's less of a range of brightness from 50 to 100 than there is from 0 to 100, but we'll go to 25. And that's 25. And now I'm just going to take it down to, let's go to 10. This is 10%. So you can see the range of brightness and how effective that's going to be for you in the projects that you take on. But I'm really impressed with it, and I'm going to use it for a product photography light because I think it fits really well. Can put it on a tripod and hold it still. Have a lot of control over it with the app. Full RGB, full CCT. It's quite manageable in terms of what sort of brightness and light it produces. So let me just go to 100 and wave it around here one last time. It's easy done by just pressing this button. That is 100. And then let's go to max. See how bright is that? It could operate as a key light in your studio. If all you wanted was this and you thought, I don't have a big soft box, I don't have a big light, I just want this that I can actually take off and take elsewhere and use portably, I can carry it around in my bag, then this, the Tolofo Palm light, might be the ticket that you are looking for. If you have any questions about this, I will be delighted to answer them. Please put them in the comments below. Say good day. It'd be wonderful to get to know you a little bit more, and see you in the next video after you like and subscribe. Bye.